For those who are already on the call, we'll wait. Obviously, we're a couple minutes early. Just wanted to let you know that our staff will probably start just a couple minutes after. Want to give as many or as much chance as possible for people to join before we get started. Thanks for joining. Hey, Audrey.
Hey, Sam, how's it going?
Doing well, you?
Good.
I believe I just made you a co-host, so you should be good to go ahead and if you want, I guess you can probably share your screen so at least shows the first slide. We're still a couple minutes before the hour, and we've got, let's see, 6 people on. I figured we might give it, I've got it recording, so I would say maybe just 2 minutes after the hour, just in case anybody hops on a little bit late.
Okay.
And then we can get started. I'll have you take lead on that, okay? But feel free to ask me or direct any questions to me at the end if you need, and I can go over the map as we discussed.
Awesome. Sounds good. All right, it's 7 o'clock. We'll just give it a couple more minutes and then we can get started. Looks like a lot of you have joined, so that's awesome. We're glad you guys could be here, especially very last minute. Glad you guys could show up, but we hope that this meeting helps you. So yeah, we'll just give it a couple minutes and then we'll get going.
Hey, Audrey, I think we can probably get going. I think it would be good if you and I both did an introduction really quick of who we are first. So if it's okay, I'll start since I unmuted myself first.
Go ahead.
To those who are listening, we really appreciate you guys getting on tonight. My name is Sam Brager. I'm the outreach coordinator for the Utah Lake Commission. While we're doing this, Audrey's going to introduce herself. She's been doing a great job with us as our summer intern. And I kind of stole, I guess, her introduction by saying that. But she's going to kind of walk us through everything really quickly through the various details of what you need to know for the cleanup. If you have any questions, we would like it for you to hold it until the end. We did allot some time for that. If you'd like, you can put it into the chat. And we will look at that at the end as well, if that helps you to not forget your question, because I know I'm prone to doing that if I don't ask it or write it down. But Audrey, why don't you introduce yourself and let's get started.
Yeah.
My apologies.
Okay.
One thing I forgot to say, we are recording it. So if you miss something or want to review it afterwards, we'll have it available. We'll send the link out to you as well as to those who were not able to attend tonight.
Awesome. Thanks, Sam. Yep. My name is Audrey and I work for the Utah Lake Commission as the intern. It's been a pretty fun job this summer. But like Sam said, I am just going to go through all of the details about this project with all of you leads. And then if you have questions at the end, go ahead and ask them. And yeah, we'll just get going through this. And yeah. So 9/11 Day of Service at Utah Lake, you all should have signed up through Just Serve to do the service project. And most of you should be a group leader, meaning that you are in charge of your group for the access point at Utah Lake. So in order for this to be successful, you guys are going to need to gather volunteers. And it sounds like a lot of you have already gathered your volunteers, but some of you may have not. And now is a great time to start doing that. You can I've heard that some people have just done a Google form, or they've sent out an email, or it's been a small word of mouth thing, or passed out a flyer in your congregation or what have you. But go ahead and get going on that now, just so that you can make sure that you have as many volunteers as are required for your access point. Okay, so when you are getting your volunteers, you will need to ask them to bring a few things or provide that from your own group. So we do ask that you have every person bring 2 garbage bags, whether you provide this or they bring it themselves. It's always a good idea to have one on hand and then one in your pocket in case one rips. Need a pair of gloves just for picking up trash so that you're not touching dirty trash. You need good clothes you can work in, so t-shirt and whatever kind of grubby clothes that you don't care about. Make sure you wear a sturdy pair of shoes, as you will be going through weeds or potentially mud, dirt, kind of just anything that's out along the access points. Make sure everyone wears sunscreen if they need it. and bug spray. We do have some bugs out. There are some that are harmless, but there are some like mosquitoes that'll get you. So bring bug spray, bring water as it will probably be hot. And then for some of you, if you're doing something right now down near the water, you might want to bring boots or waders. It's really optional, but it is a good idea if you do have those to bring them. And this should have been in your email that you received, so this is probably not new info. Same with all of the information here. We're just going to go through it quickly. This is your designated area for the cleanup in case that you did not get that. If anything looks wrong on here, please feel free to comment that in the chat or email one of us. It looks like we have all our access points taken care of except one. So that's really good news. We're really grateful that you guys have been able to reach out to us and get these access points filled. We're really excited for that. Another thing is, if you look on here and it looks like the leader that you have designated name is not on there, if you could please send that to me at intern@utahlake.org. That would be great. So just for a couple of you who are like the head leader that have delegated your access points, please send me the names of the leaders that you have delegated those points to. That will make it a lot easier for us. Okay. These are the access points that have a few extra assignments, and currently I should have reached out to all of you and given you contact information for the representative you need to get in touch with. If you have not gotten that information or you have not gotten in touch with them, please do so. This is just so that you can get as prepared as possible to clean up whatever they have you taken care of. And again,
Audrey, can I add a comment here?
Yeah, go ahead.
So these individuals that are listed under representative name on the far right for the organization, like Jason Thompson, Ron Madsen, and others, that we've reached out and been in touch with them, and they're preparing lists of services that you can do, whether that's pulling some weeds or there's some rocks on some of the beaches they want to have cleared. For the group that I'll be working with at Lincoln Beach, and I apologize, I forgot to put my name on there before we got that to Audrey. We're going to be doing some pruning. So all of these activities are going to be gathered. Part of why we want you to reach out and establish contact with them is they're going to let you know what additional equipment, if any, they'd like you to bring. Like for Lincoln Beach and Lincoln Point, we're going to need pruners or clippers to be able to take care of cleaning up those trees. So that's why we want to make sure that you reach out to them as soon as possible so that they can continue to work with you and prepare you for the activities at their location specifically.
Yeah, that's a good point. So not only are you reaching out just to, get in touch with them, you're really helping your group prepare by being able to gather your resources. So if you haven't done that, please do so as soon as you can. And all the representatives are happy to help you, and they're all ready to help you. Okay, so here is all of you should have gotten a link to the map of your area, and I'm just going to go into that really quickly and show you guys what it looks like. If you haven't gone to it, go ahead and do that at some point. But really what this is something Sam created so that you could see exactly where we intend for you to clean up. So if you look on the left side, here's all the access points. And then if you click on one, it will take you just to where that is around the lake. So Goose Point South right there, and then you can zoom in. And then hopefully it will give you a good idea of where we expect your volunteers to clean up that day. And if you have further questions about this, we will go over that at the end. If you have questions about your boundaries, Sam can help you. But hopefully you've been familiar with this and you've been able to see where it is that we want you to clean up. And we'd also like to say that these areas are safe. Sam has marked off areas specifically because he knows that they're good areas that you can go and clean up. So next off, these are some cleanup suggestions, basically just guidelines for your volunteers. So make sure to let them know about this. Have them not pick up any items that are bigger or smaller than bottle caps. Don't pick up anything they're uncomfortable with. If they're too large or heavy, like sometimes we were at a cleanup a while ago and there are these big, large construction pipes and they were just way too big for us to pick up. Way too big for what our group had. So if there are things like that you guys cannot pick up, give us a call and we will have someone contacted that can go out there and clean it up. And then for your area, unless you are specified to have more extra space, or sorry, if you're specified to do extra work, most areas I would say plan on 2 truck beds for trash. And that's just make sure that you can get all your garbage cleaned up, or maybe like 1 trailer. But I would say about plan for 2 truck beds or a trailer, unless otherwise specified by the representative that you're working with. Okay, so we have mentioned that we need you guys to dispose of your trash. We won't be doing that. However, we will be providing you, we're working right now to provide you dump vouchers so that you can take your trash to one of 2 transfer stations, Springville or Linden. Currently, we do have permission from Linden and we have those certificates. We are still working with Springville. So if you are an access point in Springville, please look out for an email from us. We will be working with them. If not, you may need to send your stuff to Linden. Either way, we will send you a dump certificate. And then if not, if we don't send you a voucher, please, you can, we are happy if you would like to, you can dump off your trash, and then if you choose to, you can send us a receipt and we can take care of that for you so you don't have to pay. But please look out for an email for us with these vouchers. They kind of look like this. This is just an example. So basically you'll hand it to the transfer station people and then it'll cover your cost of the dump. Okay, another important thing is the waiver. Every volunteer that you're working with needs to fill out a waiver. And this is different from the form that you guys filled out initially to get in contact with us. It's a new waiver. Minors under 18 will need a parent or guardian to fill this out with them. And I have sent that email out under use this waiver. So if you haven't seen that, please look for that. That is the waiver you need to use. We've also made a QR code for you guys. If you want to try right now, you can open up your phones and open up your camera. And then if you just tap down on this QR code, it'll pull up the waiver for you. And this is a really good way if you're trying to send out a flyer to everyone, you can attach this QR code there and it'll make it a lot easier, especially for youth. A lot of times it's easier for them to do it that way. So if you're not familiar with the QR code, it's very simple. You just scan your phone, use your camera, scan that, and you'll get to the waiver. If not, we have sent out the link. I'm just going to show you what the waiver looks like to make sure that you're all familiar with it. So basically this waiver just says that we're not liable for any accidents or anything wrong that happens down there at the shore. So you'll just, Sam, it might look like something's gotten, we'll work on this, but it should ask for your first name, your last name, your email, and your phone number. And then just a couple other questions. It's very short, but make sure you have everyone fill it out. And we will work on it. I'm not sure what happened last time I checked today. It looked like it had all the questions on here. So
You go back to the QR code. Let me test it really quick.
yeah, of course.
See if that's something we need to address.
Okay.
Yeah, there is a glitch. We can fix that tonight.
Okay, we will work on that and fix it. But it looks like something's up. But don't worry, this will be the link that you will use. Okay, lastly, as a group leader, you're in charge of reporting a form for the cleanup. So each area needs to have a report with it's basically a form that asks like, how many volunteers were there and what was cleaned up. It's super simple, but we want to make sure that it gets done. One important thing about this is we'd love it if you could take a photo of all the trash that is collected by the end. This is something you just don't want to forget when you leave and throw your trash away. Just if you could take a photo of all the trash you collected and fill out the waiver, that would be great. We did send it in the email. And yeah, it's just another thing. Not everyone has to fill it out, just the group leaders will need to fill it out. One person per access point, essentially. So yeah, that was really it, but we would just like to open this up for questions if you have any. We just want to make sure that you feel as prepared as possible for this. We really appreciate all the hard work that you've already put into getting this going. So we'd love to take questions if you have them.
I have a question, Audrey.
Yeah.
This is Ryan Tanner, and we're assigned the Mulberry Beach area.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
In one of the emails, I saw that it was saying that on the September 7th or September 2nd meeting rather, that you would be providing gloves and trash bags, and we're to coordinate that before September 9th. Is that not happening, or we need to provide our own?
Right.
Audrey,
That's a good
Audrey, I can take that if you want.
Okay, go ahead.
I miscommunicated that in the original email I sent out. If there is a group that's in need of trash bags and gloves, we're happy to provide it. We just realized that logistically that might have been difficult to try and have all 27 groups arrange times to find our staff in office. And that's why we recommended that you have each volunteer bring a pair of work gloves with them and a trash bag or two from home. But if there is any of the groups involved that have need of that, if you just arrange with Audrey, we'll pass it through her to make sure that we're not confusing who's coming when. But if you'll email Audrey, if you do need gloves or bags, we're happy to help provide those.
Okay. And then for Mulberry Beach, I think Audrey, you said, I just wanted to confirm that area is just trash only. No weeding or anything like that. It's just trash only for that particular area.
Yeah, that's right. You'll
Okay.
just be in trash.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
I have a question. Hi, I'm Stephanie. So my area is Skipper Bay, and from looking at the map, that looks like it's the airport road that runs along the east side of the lake over there right by the airport. Is that right?
Hey, Audrey, I can take this too, but can you stop screen sharing so I can share the map?
Yeah.
Thanks.
That's what it looked like from
Stephanie.
the link that I had. My concern is on
Sure.
that area, we aren't supposed to drive on that. We walk over there, and I've just done cleanup projects over there just
Sure.
on my own with people. Will we be able?
Oh, Stephanie, did we lose you?
Sorry, you did. My concern is being able to drive on there
Sure.
and pick up the
So
trash.
you mentioned your area is Skipper Bay Trails that you said, right?
Skipper Bay, yeah.
Okay, so point of clarification, Skipper Bay Trail is this area in green right here. Airport Dyke Road is this area in blue that
Oh,
goes around the
okay.
airport.
On the link,
So on Skipper Bay Trail, you guys will just be walking the section that's not been closed off. Part of it has been closed
Yes.
off due to the River Delta project, so you do not need to worry about that area.
yes. Okay, the link I had looked like it was along Airport Road, so I was concerned. So
I'm
no
so
problem.
glad you asked. It's a
Yep,
great
no problem.
clarification. And
Okay,
then I will make sure with the state park, he will have a group inside as well. But for parking, I know there's limited parking outside that trail.
it'll
So it's
be
totally
okay.
fine for you guys to park inside or just outside the park. There's also a trailhead here for the
Yeah.
River Parkway Trail.
Yeah, I'm
That should
familiar.
be totally fine.
Yep. Okay, thanks.
Hi, this is Audra. I'm in charge of the Wakara. I guess that's how you say it.
Uh-huh.
So in the first meeting, it said, up to about 30 people. Sorry, I have a cold. And then when I checked about a week ago, my thing said we need 100 people. And I checked a couple days ago and there's like only 7 signed up so far.
Sure.
And I've put them on Instagram. I've sent flyers out and everything within our ward neighborhoods, sent out emails, and I'll do it again. But 100 is a lot.
Sure. So
And what happens if it's not filled?
I am really glad you raised this question, Audra, because it brings up one of the points that was the biggest concern for us, is that some wards or stakes, if we're referring to the LDS groups, I know there's some that are not wards or groups that are
Yes.
also adopting here, but they were saying numbers like, oh, we'll have 400 or we'll have 500. What can we do? And we just have never operated a cleanup project or service project at the lake for that many people in one group. So originally we structured them to be much smaller according to what we typically recommend for those access points, which is where you got the 30 from. That's what we recommended. Afterwards, we decided to try and pick some areas that could use larger numbers of people, but it is in no way a requirement. So I want to make that clear for everybody who's listening, regardless of what number it says on the map, regardless of how many you have, we are grateful for whatever you can do. And you adapt accordingly. So for instance, with Audra's group, if I may back to our map here with Wakara Way, Wakara Way is this area right in here, this yellow or orange polygon here. Obviously, that's a very large area. Jake Holdaway is the liaison for you. He's actually the head of the Wakar Way Conservation Project. So he'll be great to work with. And I'm sure he'll have lots of cool history to share with you guys. But whether you have 7 or 50, he will adapt in the area for what he knows and the time you guys have available to make that work. And the same would apply to all of them. So I missed the name of whoever was over Mulberry Beach earlier, but if you only get 5 people at Mulberry Beach, that's great. I don't expect you to get a full 100. If you do, it'll be a very quick cleanup. But your groups are welcome to adapt how long you were in the area and where within the areas we designated that you go. So you do not have to feel that you have to cover all the square footage within this shapefile or wherever your shapefile may be. We simply constructed them to try and provide guidance based off of where users go. For example, you'll notice that these shapefiles for Powell Slough are quite large as well. That's because it would have been really difficult for me to do a shapefile along only the trails that cut through the weeds. But if you're want to go into the weeds and look for trash, you're probably going to find it. So definitely flexible on how many people are there. Do not feel guilty in any way if it doesn't show up to be the numbers that are listed or what you may have heard of. We're happy to have all the groups come in whatever way they can.
So where am I supposed to meet people there?
Great question. So yours, we can make sure, Audrey, if you'll note this down just so I don't forget to send GPS coordinates to her. Audra, on the map here, you'll see driving through the neighborhood, there's actually a little access road right here. And when you come down in that, you come and it looks like you're going to drive onto the golf course, but this Google map is out of date. There's actually a gate right here. And then there's a parking area that, from what Jake has told me, should be able to handle at least 60 cars comfortably that they've put in just in the last 3 months. So we'll make sure we can send you the GPS coordinates to this exact spot so that you know where to go. Because it's not officially an access point. It's not on our access points map on our page for anybody else who's looking for directions. If you just Google the phrase Utah Lake access points, or I can actually pull it up right now and put it into the chat so that everybody has it. This page actually has a Google map with pins for each access point. And you can actually click on that. And if you have Google Maps on your phone, if you access this map on your phone to your access point, it will actually pull up directions to that specific location so that you can get there, because many of them don't have an address associated with them. They're simply a location on the map. So definitely something to keep in mind as well.
So we'll just be standing there, and as people come, like, we just
So Jake will be there day of to help coordinate where you guys are going to go. What he'll probably do is have you follow him along. I know it's hard to tell from this map because, like I said, it's not fully up to date. Google hasn't done that yet. He'll actually take you down and through some of the areas of the project. So there will be I would say Audrey's comment about a good pair of shoes would be important, because there will be some walking in this larger of an area. And he'll take you down to the shoreline, and there'll be areas that he's aware of because he's out there all the time with the cattle that are out grazing right now as a part of the project. But yeah, so your meeting spot would be that parking lot. And like I said, we'll get you those GPS coordinates so that you guys know where to park. He'll meet you there and take your group out specifically.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, thank you. We appreciate the questions. Other questions, and please don't forget, we will look at the chat. I'm just letting anybody who's asking a question get to them.
Mike, I got a question. My name's Gary Calder. I got the 2000 West access.
You mean 4,000 West?
4,000 West, I'm sorry, yes.
Sure. Okay, yeah.
It says on the instructions starting at 9 o'clock. Are you okay if we start earlier?
If you want to start earlier, totally fine. 9 o'clock was meant to be a recommendation, but anytime you guys want to do it on the 11th is fine.
Yeah,
And then
go
ahead.
That's
Audrey.
a good point. Just at the end of this, we'd love to ask you guys what time you're planning to do it. And you can just comment that in the chat, what time you're planning to do your cleanup at. It can be any time that day. Sorry, go ahead, Gary.
I'll start at 8 o'clock, but they're on the end of the road. I went out to the end of that little turnaround.
Yeah.
And there's a wire fence and a bunch of cows out beyond the turnaround. Are you wanting us to go out there? I couldn't really see an access other than crossing over the fence. And I don't know what you want me to do.
So it might be good. We're actually, our director and I are going to be down at Lincoln Point doing some prep work for the project, and I can stop by to verify this, but in the past, there's supposed to be a basically single file. I think it's right here actually where my cursor is pointing. Little lane of access that's supposed to be maintained for people to be able to walk past and continue down the trail to the water line. Granted, the water is going to be a lot further out this year. I think this is a high water year on the map. But yeah, so for your specific area, Gary, I would say the reason why we highlighted it in the shape it is obviously the access road along both sides. Staying along the road, though, I wouldn't cross over the canal to the private property side. We don't want anybody getting in trouble. But then once you get to the parking area, immediately around the parking area, and then following the trail down to the water line, it is private property on both sides. Hence why we did kind of a smaller shape file around this just to encourage people to not go too far away from that trail down to the water.
Yeah, I pulled up the county parcel map and I'm like, this is private property. I don't know if I have permission to be out there.
Yeah. So it's just a right of way access. So it is owned privately, but there's a right of way access to the water there. So that's why I would recommend sticking as close to it as possible. But I will make sure I stop by there on Monday. I'm going to note that down when we go out to visit some of the south access points to inspect them. And I will reach back out to you if there's a concern.
Okay, thank you. That's what I needed.
I have a question, Audrey, for Sam, probably.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, Sam, this is Steve Faber, Mill Race Access Point.
Okay.
It appears that they're on the map. It's highlighting one particular part of Mill Race, and I'm actually just not sure which one is actually considered Mill Race.
Okay.
If you see there's two tributaries.
Yes, right here and here, you mean? Or right up here at Mill Race, yes.
Yeah, at Mill Race, yeah. So the one.
So, I just realized, let me zoom in.
I was just wondering, based on how it's highlighted, do you want us to cover both?
Sure.
Or do you want us to cover the one that's generally
That is
more popular, I think, which is the one you're pointing to?
A great question. I think I must have accidentally clicked and dragged this. It's meant to be at woohoo. Calm down there, map. Meant to be more like this. Okay, it
Gotcha.
really wants to show me the name of Mill Race. Generally speaking on these, and the same thing for Hobble Creek, where there's a lot of different spots you could go. We're trying to look on all these access points. We're trying to focus efforts on where are they most visited. So along the access roads, the parking areas, the trails, those are the main focus. And then if you have time and you have people, you go out from there. So like Mill Race, Steve, I know you've been there before. A lot of people like to walk down along the race and fish here, which means you're going to find a lot of garbage along both sides of the race.
Exactly.
And grab that file again. You probably also will as well find it along this shoreline too. And you're welcome to go out as far as you safely can. Obviously it's going to get more mucky. But yeah, does that help a little bit?
That does. Thank you.
Oh, I appreciate you asking. So sorry for the confusion.
No problem.
If anybody else has a question, feel free to chime in. I'm going to go back and review the questions that were in the chat to make sure we don't miss any. So we have a question about the transfer station in Springville taking tires. They do. To Audrey's comment before, we already have an agreement set up with Linden, and that is for 500 pounds. And I think it was 3 tires that said that you're allowed.
I believe it's 4.
4, it said, okay, 4 tires on it that are allowed. Springville, we're hoping to get the same deal in place, but if not, just if you keep your receipt, if you would like to be reimbursed, you can send us a copy of the receipt and we can mail you a check for it. But they do take tires, yes. Somebody commented about trucks or trailers. I apologize. When I saw that comment, I went and reviewed the initial email. We didn't specifically state a truck or trailer being needed. We just referenced that for disposing of the garbage, you would need to take it to a landfill and we would provide a certificate. To clarify further, I would think most of the access points, if you look at your shape file and it's not one of the big ones, you can probably get away with 1 truck or maybe an SUV. Most of the time we recommend trucks or trailers just because garbage stinks and you might not want it inside your car. But I would think most access points can handle probably with 1 vehicle. 2 would be great. If you only can secure 1 vehicle that's able to carry garbage, I would just pick up garbage until you fill it and not worry about the rest. We will continue to have other groups coming year round to visit these access points as well. We already talked about gloves and garbage bags. Someone asked if people don't show up without gloves and garbage bags. That would be terrible. I hope that does not happen. If you'd like to hedge your bet, as we clarified, you can you're welcome to reach out to Audrey to schedule a time to stop by our offices when one of our staff is in, and we can get you some gloves and bags. Someone requesting, Audrey, that we resend the waiver and QR code. So maybe it would be good if we send that back out again.
Yeah, I can resend that out. If that was you who asked, can you just comment your email? You can privately message that to me as well.
And then let's see. There was a question about needing a voucher for each truckload. That's a great clarification. The agreement that we have with the transfer stations is only for one vehicle. So if you were to have multiple vehicles, that's where you would need to pay the cost that they charge. Is usually by weight, and then you can send a receipt to the commission for a reimbursement for that. But unfortunately, they don't like us using more than one voucher at a time, just to try and help them with balancing things on their end.
To kind of go along, this is Audra again, sorry, to kind of go
please, go ahead.
along with the gloves and garbage can. I just re-looked at the site again where I'm at, and I still only have 7 people signed up, but it says that the commission will hand out gloves and garbage bags. Is there a way to get that changed? Because when people go and sign up, that's what they're going to see.
On where is it you're seeing
On
that?
the Just Serve.
Oh, on the Just Serve listing. Gotcha.
So,
Yeah.
hey, Sam, this is Reed Murray.
Mhm.
I can change that. That was my understanding when we first talked that the commission would be providing those. So Audra, I'll have that changed on the Just Serve site.
Okay.
And thank you, Audra. We will check on our end to see if there's somewhere else that it was listed. And again, as I said, we're happy to provide it if it is needed. We just feared that the timing of trying to find one of our staff in the office, seeing as there's only 3 of us and there's various meetings we attend and such, that people might experience some undue stress trying to be able to arrange that for 20 or 30, I should say. It's 27 access points, 3 additional areas, so 30 different groups. But yeah, if you guys need them, feel free to get in touch with us and we can arrange that.
So Reed, you'll go ahead and change that then?
Yeah, I will.
Okay, thank you.
Back to our chat. I had someone just comment. Oh, never mind. That's a time. Perfect. We've got a couple times coming. Thank you so much for everybody posting those. Perfect. I think we've hit all the questions. Oh, where's a good place to park for Hobble Creek Wildlife Management Area? Let me show on that one. So that's just south of where I'm showing the map right now. So Hobble Creek that's actually a good point. That's one that slipped past my radar. There's a couple of access points that do have pretty limited parking, and the commission has been working to contact businesses and other property owners in the area to try and ensure that there is sufficient parking made available. For instance, with Powell Slough, we're working on that with some of the businesses there, but Hobble Creek is one that slipped my notice. So we will make sure that we reach out on Hobble Creek parking. The actual parking lot is right here. It's really only got enough room for maybe 6 vehicles. So we will probably reach out to Infomercials Inc. here to see about potentially having parking made available there. I do not know if Harvard Farms would allow for parking, but we will try our best to make sure we provide additional parking close by at all the access points. There was another question I thought I saw on the chat.
This is Sharon Mead. Sorry about the feedback. I'd like to go over the parking for the Powell Slough areas, if you would.
Oh, I'd be happy to cover that with you for sure. Let's go up there. So right now, we've already secured permission with US Synthetic, which is this building right here, to use a portion of their parking lot. And it's, my apologies. I'm not sure if that was me echoing there. The parking lot for South Powell Slough access is this little lot here, but their parking will be extremely accessible to just walk across that area. They do have some employees working on Saturdays, so we will have additional details for you soon about that. They want to, the gentleman I spoke with hadn't decided if he wanted to mark off parking for them or mark off parking for us, but he's getting back to me on that. So we'll make sure we update you as we know more. And then Audrey is also in the process of trying to talk with Blend Tech and the other businesses here to see for Powell Slough North, which does have a small parking area. I would say maybe 10 or 12 vehicles could park there, and maybe 6 or 7 vehicles could park here. They're trying to negotiate as well, just to make sure we're okay to park in this existing lot as well. So that's parking for Powell Slough. Does that answer your question?
It does. I was wondering whether we could park in those kind of circles. Sorry, but I'm not sure where that feedback's coming. Okay, nope, still bad.
Okay, well, I'm glad we're able to answer the question for you. Somebody else was asking in the chat about how we get the vouchers. We will be emailing those out to the group leaders for each one. Each group leader will receive one voucher via email. You don't even need to print it off. You actually can just show it on your phone. So if you're not the person that's going to be going to the landfill for your group, just make sure that the person who is going has that voucher in their email, and you can just show it to them. They'll look at the serial number on the certificate and they'll mark that down on the list that they have that's pre-approved. Does anybody else have any additional questions?
I just have one question I'd like to, minor question I'd like to clarify. This is Nick over at the Vineyard Center Street area.
Mm-hmm.
So according to the map that I'm seeing from the Just Serve page project, Vineyard Center Street seems to be in the middle of three areas that kind of are along the shore there.
Sure.
It's not, I guess it's not clear to me if basically we stop at certain streets, or I guess maybe we just keep going north and south until we hit the next group or something.
Great question. And actually, I'm really glad you said something, Nick, because you reminded me of a piece of information that I talked to somebody at Vineyard City, they wanted me to share and I'd forgotten. So I'm glad you chimed in there. So as far as, again, the shape files go, they're meant to be approximates and try to divide up the areas. So technically the way we thought through this was that Vineyard 170 South would be going from their access, which is this parking area here, and working their way south. Or sorry, my apologies. From Vineyard Center Street parking area south, and the Vineyard 170 South parking area a little bit south too. Vineyard Center Street's group will go from Center Street north. Now, granted, if you go a little bit south, I doubt anybody's going to be upset with you.
Sure, sure.
So totally fine as well. But we were trying to break them up because the access points are just pins on the map at those locations. We decided to mark out where on the shoreline we'd like you to go.
Okay.
For those who are in Vineyard, so this would not just be Nick, but also, and I apologize, I'm not looking at the full list of who's listening, but Devin Dye for 170 South, Tom Greenland for Sunset Beach Park, and also Dave Jensen for Vineyard Beach. All four of those access areas, I spoke with Sullivan Love, who's with Parks for Vineyard City, and he will be at Dave's group at Vineyard Beach and working that area. But for all of you, they wanted to make a special request, even though you're not going to have a Vineyard City with your other groups, Sunset Beach Park, Center Street, and 170 South. They would like you, in addition to cleaning up garbage, they would like you to collect any fallen tree limbs, any large rocks, and any chunks of concrete or other large debris that might be something you're not cleaning up. And just move it as close to the trail as possible. What I mean by that is, if you've been to Vineyard, it's on a shelf. So the trail itself is up on the top of this shelf, but this hill is quite steep. So they're not asking you to carry rocks and tree limbs and chunks of concrete up to the top. They just want you to bring it to the base of this hill and leave them there. And they're going to have one of their public works employees come by either later that day or sometime the next week. And they will collect all of the chunks of concrete, rocks, and tree limbs, because Vineyard is in the process of designing their entire shoreline with an architect. And they hope to bring in a lot of different sandy beach areas and better public access. So this is a great chance for them to help kind of clean up some of that stuff that's on the ground in addition to garbage, and try and help prepare it for that. So we'll make sure that we send that out as well to email in case anybody from Vineyard's not on tonight. But you will not have a Vineyard City employee. Just their request was, in addition to cleaning up garbage, move those larger items as much as you can over to the base of the hill, and they'll have somebody come collect them afterwards. If Dave Jensen's on the phone with Vineyard Beach, you will have Sullivan Love from Vineyard City will be there. And there will be additional projects besides the limb and rock and concrete cleanup and trash cleanup. He's going to have you do some additional work there too. And he will hopefully share that with you via email. Thank you, Nick, for asking, though. Does that answer your question better?
It does. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Looks like someone asked if we're going to Zoom next week on September 2nd. And as far as we're planning, yes, we will still Zoom next week. It looks like a lot of people showed up tonight. But there may have been some people that we missed who want to talk live and ask some questions as well. And then you can also, Sam, it can be up to you, but I think it's still just optional because you came to this, you don't need to.
Yeah, no, you do not have to come to next week. If you came, we won't be covering anything new. We just wanted to make sure we gave, since we were doing this one on short notice, the flexibility of attending either session to make sure your questions got answered.
Yes.
Awesome. I think that covers everything. It looks like we got all the questions in the chat. And if anybody has a question, whoop, hold on. We got another question just came in there. Extra service for Saratoga Springs Marina. I do not have the list on me currently for each access point that is developing additional activities. That's where Audrey has been, I believe, has been contacting all of the group leaders who do have extra service and sharing the contact information for the individual who's assigned to that. So for Saratoga Springs Marina, that will be Rick Kennington with Saratoga Springs City.
Yes, and I should have, Holly, I probably sent that to Elizabeth, who's been in contact with me, but I can also send you his contact as well, now that I know you're in charge of that marina, and you can get in touch with him.
Oh, it's okay. It's Liz. Chiming in for Liz, so I will forward that on to her.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, she should have contact info.
And then somebody else asked the waiver being updated. I will update that as soon as we end this Zoom call. So within 5 to 10 minutes, that waiver will be corrected. I actually started it earlier during the process while Audrey was working on things. So it should be pretty quick. It will not change the link. Everything will stay the same. The QR code will stay the same as well. I thought I saw another comment. I think we're good there on all of them. If there are any other questions, feel free to email us. We will post this on our YouTube channel and share it to you guys in case you need to review it or share it with anybody else. Unless anybody else has a comment, that's all we've got for tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you guys.
Thanks.
Thank you all for your dedication. We appreciate your help in caring for the lake.
We'll do our best.
Thank you.
Sounds good.
Have a good evening.